Hi all students, I'm Saili Kale, and in this particular video I'll be explaining how to crack CAT. For those who are joining for CAT 2026, I'll be explaining exactly what you should be doing from now onwards to crack CAT 2026. Firstly, you have made an excellent decision to join us at Cracku. We'll help you every step of the way, we'll guide you every step of the way. To understand how to crack the exam, you have to first understand the exam. What exactly is being tested? What are the right things to do to actually crack the exam? So first, let us take a look at the exam. Then I'll tell you exactly what you should be doing to crack CAT 2026. So first, what exactly is the CAT exam? When does it occur? What should be the process? When should you start preparing? So the online application process for CAT begins in August, of the first week of August. The exam is generally in the last week of November. So the application process starts in the first week of August. After that, in the first week of November, you will get your admit card. They'll tell you where you can take the exam, what is your exam center, and in the last week of November, you will take the exam. The results come somewhere in the December 3rd week or January 1st week. So these are basically this is the timeline, rough timeline from when the exam starts, like the application for the exam starts to the results. Now, when should you start preparing for the exam? I'll tell you that like at least 70% of the students start preparing for CAT in the May of the same year. Then there are some 10-20% students who start preparing in September. They have very little chance of converting the exam because this exam requires a lot of practice. So if you start very late, it becomes difficult to do well in the exam. Then there are the sincere students who begin in the January of the same year. But there are even more serious students who begin 1 year earlier. You are in the set of very serious students. You are targeting for CAT, which is later on in the next year. So for you, I feel there should be very little barrier to cracking CAT because you have time on your side, you have the right guide. So now that we know when we should start preparing for the exam, let's take a look at what the exam format is and how we should prepare for the exam. To start preparing for the exam, let's take a look at what the exam format is and how we should prepare for the exam. So let us start with the exam format. So the exam format is, it's a 2-hour exam. So in CAT 2024, you had 68 questions. So you have somewhere between 66 to 68 questions as such. Not a lot of questions, but each question is a slightly difficult question. They are not easy questions. If you're given like the bank exams or any of the easier exams, it is not easy, nor is it difficult as like say JEE exam as such. It is somewhere in the middle. Each question requires you like 2-3 minutes of thought. Now, what is the marking scheme for these questions? You get +3 for a correct answer. You get -1 for an incorrect answer. So you should not randomly mark questions. You should try to solve them and only then mark the correct answer. When there are TITA questions, TITA stands for type in the answer type, where there are no options. If you have multiple choice, you have +3 -1 as the marking scheme. But there are certain questions where you don't have options, you don't have choices given. You have only an input box given. When an input box is given, there is no negative marking. You just have to put in the right answer. If you get the right answer, you have +3. If you put in the wrong answer, you have no negative marking, so -0. The sections here are 3 sections. So there is the VARC section, which is the first section. Here you get 24 questions. The second section is the LRDI section. The third section is the Quant section. So I'll explain what each of these acronyms stands for. VARC stands for Verbal Ability and Reading Comprehension. In a lot of ways, this is the English section. It tests your English verbal ability and English reading comprehension. This is not about your vocabulary. This is not about whether you went to an English medium school or not. This is a test of your comprehension skills. If you read a passage in English, can you understand what the author is trying to say? If you read a paragraph, can you summarize the paragraph? If you read 4 sentences, can you put them in the right order to form a coherent paragraph? All of these type of questions essentially test your comprehension skills. That is your ability to read something and understand the main idea of that particular paragraph or passage. So this requires you to have a reading habit. So the first thing that you have to develop in all of these kind of exams is develop a reading habit. I'll tell you exactly how to develop that later on. But the first section, remember, is VARC. It is a test of your comprehension skills. The second section is the logical reasoning and data interpretation section, which is called LRDI. So what exactly is asked in the LRDI section? So the LRDI section is part logical reasoning, part data interpretation. So what is data interpretation? Your ability to read and understand tables, your ability to read and understand charts, your ability to infer information from charts, from graphs, from any kind of visual information. Your ability, logical reasoning is your ability to read and answer questions where logical information is given about like ordering of people, about arrangement of people. Simple puzzles will be given. A network diagram would be given, and you have to essentially use that network diagram to figure out like cost of travel or how many ways somebody can travel. So there are different types of puzzles can be asked. There are different types of puzzles that can be asked. Also, there are different types of tables, charts that can be asked. Both of these together form the LRDI section. This is generally a difficult section to crack because it is difficult for you to learn how to solve puzzles. It's difficult for you to learn how to solve data interpretation questions. This requires a lot of practice. The third section is the Quantitative Aptitude section, also called as the QA section. It has 22 questions. This is your maths section. Maths basically means you have arithmetic, algebra, geometry, you have number systems, you have permutations and combinations. All of these together form the QA section. So basically this is very formula driven, concept driven. You require a lot of practice of questions as well as conceptual knowledge to solve the questions. So you have English, you have logical reasoning, and you have maths. These are the three main sections of CAT. So now that you understand what is there in the CAT exam, let us take a look at what exactly are the skills that are being tested in each of these sections. As I mentioned in the verbal ability and reading comprehension section, the main skill is comprehension skills. If you can read a passage and understand what the author is trying to say. Basically, what is the key message? What is like the TLDR version of what the author is trying to say? If you can identify that, you can identify it without distortion, without getting confused, without being manipulated into marking something else, then you can do well in the VARC section. The second skill that is tested in the LRDI section is data interpretation skills. Your ability to interpret data that is either given in a table format or chart format constitutes the data interpretation skills. Then you have the logical reasoning skills. Okay, you will be given some puzzle. Okay, people are arranged in this particular order. So you will be given some kind of a puzzle. Okay, that people are arranged in this particular order. A is sitting opposite B. C is sitting opposite D. You have to essentially decipher from these rules who is sitting opposite what is the exact order of seating. So these kind of puzzles come in logical reasoning. So to do well in this section, you have to first understand the different types of puzzles that come, the different types of LR sets that come, learn how to solve them. There's a trick or a method to solving them. We'll teach you the method to solve them, and finally you have to apply that by solving lots and lots of sets. So this is basically about your DILR sections, data interpretation skills and logical reasoning skills. Finally, you have the quantitative skills, which is basically your math skills. If you're somebody who's good at maths, you will do well in the quant section. If you're somebody who struggles at maths, you have to solve thousands of questions. I'm not overstating it. I know from 14 years of experience what solving thousands of questions can do to the quant score of a student. It can go from negative to plus 30. So I know that just solving a lot of questions, practicing a lot of questions, it can change your entire trajectory as a CAT student. So these are the basic skills that are tested. This is mapping to each of the sections. But there is one additional skill that is given, which is speed and mental stamina. A lot of people don't realize how incredibly tiring it is to give a CAT mock, to give a CAT test. It is 2 hours of full concentration, full effort, your adrenaline is pumping, you are slightly panicking because this is a make or break exam which you can take only once a year. So you need a lot of mental fortitude. You also need a lot of stamina to stay focused for the entire 2 hours, to not get tired, because a lot of students, by the time they come to the third section, which is the quant section, they are just tired. They are not able to give their full potential in the last section. So you need mental stamina, mental fortitude, and also speed. A lot of students know how to solve the question, but they are not able to solve it under the timer's gaze. They don't know how to solve it in 40 minutes per section. So that is also a skill that you have to develop. Now let's go to the part where we discuss the CAT cracking strategy. Exactly how do you prepare for CAT? How do you actually get to that 99.5 percentile, coveted percentile as such? How do you actually go from somebody who is not able to answer a single question to being able to crack the exam? So there are 3 parts to it. So first part is learn. You have to learn the basics of how to read and reading comprehension. You have to learn the representation formats for every single type of logical reasoning set and data interpretation set. You have to learn the maths formulas for the quantitative aptitude section. So for cracking CAT, the first thing is learn, which is gather knowledge. So this you can do through our concept videos. So we have concept videos covering every single type of question that comes in CAT. We have gone in, identified that, okay, these are type of the questions that come. This is the basic concept. We have taught every single thing that comes in CAT. So the first thing that will help you crack CAT is going through our concept videos. Our concept videos also come with concept tests. The reason why we have done this is that we see a lot of students just ideally see videos, passively view videos, but then it does not really stick in their mind. They don't understand from that. The only way you develop a skill is by practicing. So how do I get you to practice a particular concept? After every single concept video, we have a concept test. So to test whether you have understood or not. If you are not able to understand, if you have not understood the video properly and you are not able to perform in the test, go back and see the video again, because that will help you check whether your understanding is clear of the concept, of the application, of how to even approach the question. All of these things are covered in the concept videos and concept tests. The other source of knowledge is basically we have a lot of question videos where we have solved questions. There are also live sessions where we cover the basic concepts again. Whenever we are teaching live, we cover the basic concepts again so that students know exactly this is what the approach should be, this is how I should solve questions, this is the way I should approach questions. This is all about knowledge. This is basically, I would say, if in your CAT journey, if you are going to 100%, this is only like 20% of your effort. Knowledge would play a big role in the other exams. If you consider class 10 exam, class 12 exam, even your undergraduate exams as such, you would mug up and you would just reproduce the knowledge in the exam. You have to essentially memorize and write the knowledge. So knowledge would be like 100% of your exam, but that is not true for CAT at all. The portion and the syllabus small, it's not that large. And the understanding or knowing the formula is only 20% of the fight. The main thing that you have to be able to do is you have to be able to use that formula to apply the methods that you have learned in the actual exam. There, the main part of CAT comes in. This is the most important thing in CAT. If you don't practice, even if you have seen all of the concept videos, it will go nowhere. So the main thing that you have to do well in CAT is practice. Solve thousands of questions. We have over 15,000 questions in our study room, which is the question bank. We have live sessions every single weekday. We solve a lot of questions in the live sessions. We have daily targets, which are basically the tests that we give every single day. So if you attend our live sessions, if you solve daily targets every single day, so this is like a 15-minute test for each of the sections, 15 minutes to solve 5 quant questions, 15 minutes to solve a LR set or a DI set, and 15 minutes to solve a reading comprehension or verbal ability questions. If you solve the daily target every single day, there will be nothing stopping you from doing well in CAT. And the third part, which is the most important part, which is our study room. It has thousands of questions, so you can do targeted practice. Basically, it will tell you that, okay, you're weak in this particular area, do a lot of questions from this area. This will help you get to the next higher score. When you're preparing for CAT, your efforts have to be distributed across 3 sections. You can't just be good at Quant or just good at LRDI or just good at VARC. You have to do well in all 3 sections as such. So for that, you have to start practicing regularly in all 3 sections. So this is basically where Cracku will help you. We have the most number of questions. We have the most amount of practice that we can offer. No other coaching comes even close in terms of how much practice you will get. So this is the most important part for cracking CAT. The third part is testing. So now that you have learned a concept, you have solved a lot of practice questions, how do you know whether you are doing well or not in CAT? Herein comes the important part of CAT preparation, which is testing. These are our mock CATs and sectionals. Our flagship mocks are called as dash CATs. There are 20 dash CATs. They have a schedule, they go live as per schedule, and if you give it within the test window, you will get your national percentile and all India percentile as such. These mocks help you understand where you are with respect to your peers. Thousands of students take Cracku mocks and we get the cream of the crop. The best students take Cracku mocks. So here you will understand how you are actually doing with respect to toppers, how you are doing with respect to serious students. So this would help you index your performance. So I have been doing XYZ. This is my results till now. How do I go from here till the next level? To understand the strengths, to understand the weaknesses, to understand what you need to do next, mocks and sectionals are extremely important. And these are the 3 key components of cracking CAT. If you have the knowledge, if you cover the concept videos, if you practice like crazy, and I mean practice with an obsession, and if you test according to the schedule, There is nothing stopping you from cracking CAT 2026. Now let us take a look at how to use this course. So the first thing that I'll tell you is the most important thing. See, Cracku has a lot of resources. We have like the batch schedule, the concept videos, we have the daily target, we have live sessions. There are so many things that a lot of students say, ma'am, where do I begin? What should be my first priority? I don't have 8 hours a day. What should I be doing first? So your first priority should always be to follow the day-wise batch schedule. The day-wise batch schedule, basically what we have done is, we have 200 plus concept videos. We have broken them up over a schedule. So we tell you on day 1, see this concept video, see this particular, take this particular concept test. The reason why we have ordered the concept videos according to the schedule is because we want you to attempt, or we want you to cover the important concepts first. We know exactly what is the most important concept, what has the most weighted, and we have made sure that you learn that first. So in Quant, you will be covering arithmetic first. In logical reasoning, you will be covering tables and charts, and you will be covering arrangements and puzzles first, because we are covering what is the most important thing first. So follow the schedule, because it will ease a lot of mental load from you, because you don't have to think what do I have to prepare, what should I learn. We'll be doing that for you. You don't have to think about what should I study. We'll tell you every single day exactly what you have to do. So your first priority should always be to follow the day-wise batch schedule. It includes the concept videos you have to do and the concept tests you have to take. Your second priority should be live sessions. So every single weekday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. we have live classes. In live classes, we cover the basic concepts, we cover the basic knowledge again, plus we focus on practice. The idea of live sessions is of live solving of questions, that you solve questions with me and Maruti guiding you, so that we tell you exactly where you're going wrong, we help you understand where you are making a mistake, and you get the additional practice that is required. The third part, or the third most important thing, is try to complete the syllabus as early as possible. We have split the syllabus day-wise, but I would suggest that since you're a CAT 2026 student, try to front log the syllabus, try to cover the syllabus, try to cover the concept videos early on, so that leaves you more time to actually practice questions. Then if you are done with the syllabus before the year also starts, or before February of 2026, you will get a solid block of time to practice a lot of questions. Then you have a realistic chance of completely solving the entire study room. That should be your grand or ideal goal, that I'll solve the entire study room. That is 15,000 plus questions, I think 20,000 questions. If you're able to solve something like that, that would be like a massive goal to have in front of you. Because if you solve those many questions, you would have solved more questions than almost anybody else who takes the exam, apart from maybe the instructors. That's why instructors often do well in the exams, because they have solved thousands of questions. So if you want to do as well as Maruti and get 100 percentile, I would say that keep that grand goal in front of you, that I'm going to solve every single question from the study room. So to have the time to do that, try to front log the syllabus as much as possible. The fourth most important thing that you have to do is practice mocks on weekends. So we have mocks every other weekend. On the weekends that you don't have mock, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to analyze your mistakes from the previous mock. So there are 66 questions in the mock. There are 66 diagnostics that you can make from this particular mock. Which are the questions that you are able to solve? Which are the questions you are not able to solve? Are there any concept gaps? How much time do you take to solve questions of a particular type? Is that too much time? Is it too less time? You have to spend a lot of time analyzing the mock, understanding where things are going wrong, what you could do to improve. Every single mock you should say that from this mock I will try to improve by 5%. I'll try to improve by 10%. So if there is even 5% growth every single mock, if you consider it cumulatively, there will be like a transformation across the 20 mocks. So that is basically what your mindset should be when it comes to mocks. I'll take a mock, I'll improve between one mock and another. I should have 5 to 10% growth. That is basically what your attitude should be. Every single weekend, you should either be taking a mock or analyzing a mock. Apart from that, so why are sectional tests given? Why not just give more mocks? So the reason behind sectional tests is that we have identified that if you consider all students, they are not equally good at all three sections. Generally, there will be one section that they are weakest at. So when there is that one section that you are weakest at, the idea should be that you take mocks regularly. You should do all the 20 dash cats. But in addition to that, wherever you are weak in a particular section, you should do all the 15 sectionals also from that section. So suppose you are weak in quant, you should do the 20 dash cats plus all 15 quant sectionals. If you are weak in VARC, you should do the 20 dash cats plus the 15 VARC sectionals. You have access to all the sectionals. If you want, you can do all the sectionals as such. But for those who are weak in any particular section, you have to put the first priority to do well and do cover all the 15 extra sectionals of that particular section. Then we come to study room questions. See, study room questions are basically what will separate the okay average students from the great students, from the 95 percentilers to the 99 percentilers. That extra 4.5 percentile that you will get will come from study room. Why will it come from study room? Because that is the practice that is required. A lot of students take mocks, a lot of students take sectionals, a lot of students cover the entire syllabus. So a lot of students take mocks, a lot of students take sectionals, a lot of students cover the entire syllabus. But what a lot of students don't do is practice thousands of questions. It is a big barrier to jumping to 99 percentile. A lot of students don't have the time to do that, but you have the time because you are practicing for CAT 2026 from now. So you have the time on your side to do thousands of questions. And if you practice from the study room, from now onwards, regularly if you put in like 1 hour of extra practice, you can do so well in CAT 2026. Then comes daily targets. See, daily targets are like study room tests, but they build consistency. They are CAT level questions with video solutions, which will make sure that firstly you get the best questions, you also get video solutions for that, and you have consistency because of them. Because every single day you know that I'm going to spend 45 minutes doing these tests every single day without a break. And we also have streaks. A lot of students have daily target streaks of 45 days, 90 days, 100 days. 100 days without a break they have taken daily target. That's consistency, that's dedication, and that's the kind of dedication that I want to see from you. Then we have solving previous year's papers, revising quant formula books, reading CAT articles daily, and asking doubts whenever you have a doubt. Below every single question, whether it is in our study room, in our mock, in our concept test, concept video, below every single thing you can ask a doubt. In the concept videos also, if you have not understood any part of the concept video, right below that is the you have the ability to ask a question or ask a doubt. Ma'am, I didn't understand this particular part. Ma'am, at 33 minutes, this particular question was discussed. I didn't understand how to answer that question. So for every single thing, we have ensured that doubt solving is seamless. That every place that you get a doubt, it is easy for you to get that doubt answered. So if you put that extra effort to get your doubts resolved, you will see the result in the overall progress you are making. So we have tried to make it seamless to get your doubts answered. Below every question, below every video, you can ask your question, you can ask your doubt and get it answered. So with all of these things at your side, with all of these things at your fingertips, you can easily crack CAT given that you're consistent and dedicated. Now let's get to the common mistakes that people make when they prepare for CAT. So I've been doing this for more than a decade, so I know the common mistakes many students make when it comes to CAT preparation. So these are the common mistakes I've seen year after year students do, and I don't want you to commit these mistakes. The first thing is lack of conceptual clarity. A lot of students start solving questions without understanding what is the concept behind them. The first thing that I want you to do is make sure that you cover all of the concept videos. They completely cover the syllabus. There won't be any part of the syllabus that you don't know. The second part is avoiding the weaker sections. A lot of students, when I say that, okay, if VARC is your weaker section, take 2 RCs test every single day. Make sure that you read articles every single day. Make sure that you have a reading habit. But when they know that VARC is their weaker sections, they still continue to take tests from Quant or LRDI. Why? Because they like Quant and they like LRDI. They don't like VARC, so they don't take the test from VARC. But that is not what you should be doing. Whatever is your weaker section, practice more religiously from that section. Take daily targets every single day from that section. Make sure that you read articles every single day if VARC is your weaker section. If you avoid your weaker section, it will continue to become a problem. If you confront your weaker section, it will become a source of strength rather than a source of weakness. That should be your attitude. That you should not say that I'm weak in VARC, I'm weak in Quant. You should say that VARC is the place where I will get my maximum improvement. VARC is the place, or DILR is the place where I will do the most well in my CAT 2026. The third mistake a lot of students make is that of quantity over analysis. I know students who do 60 mocks, 80 mocks. There's nothing wrong with that. If I would actually appreciate anybody who does 60 mocks. But doing 60 mocks without analysis is a waste of time. If you do 20 mocks with analysis, it is far more useful than 60 mocks without any analysis. In fact, Cracku itself gives you, there are 20 dash cats plus 5 head start mocks plus 15 sectionals. So you have 40 mocks right there. plus previous year's paper. If you count all of that, that's coming up to about 60 marks as such. But the important caveat that I'll give for all of this is that if you take a mock, if you spend no time analyzing the mock, if you spend no time looking at the sets in DILR that you didn't attempt, if you spend no time checking the questions that you got wrong, that mock will have very little value. If you take 60 marks, 70 marks, 80 marks, but you don't analyze them, I'm telling you for sure that you will learn very little from them. What should be your attitude towards mocks? You take a mock, you analyze it thoroughly. You have to first attempt every single DILR set. The ones that you attempted, attempt them again. Any question that you got wrong, attempt it again. Any set that you didn't have time to solve in the actual exam, in the actual test, attempt it. Every skipped question, every incorrect question, you have to answer them again after the test is over. That should be your attitude. Also, you should take a look at how you spend time solving the sets. Did you spend too much time on a particular question? Are you weak in a particular area? Is there some formula that you didn't know? That should be the way you go mock. And then after going through the mock, you have to first, if there was a concept gap, fill the concept gap. If there was a practice gap, go to the study room and practice a lot of questions from the particular topic. That should be your attitude after every single mock. That will help you grow. Every mock where you analyze the mock thoroughly will help you grow. The fourth most common mistake that many people make is ignoring concept tests and mocks. A lot of people actually delay taking mocks till September. A lot of people see the videos but don't take the accompanying concept test. That is a big mistake, because if you don't test yourself, if you do not test whether you have understood the concept or not, if you don't test yourself by taking mocks regularly, you have no idea about your strengths and weaknesses. Then you'll suddenly get a shock in September when you take the first mock test. If you don't want to get a shock in September of 2026, I would say that please follow the schedule regularly. Make sure you take the mocks according to schedule. The last mistake that a lot of students make is relying more on videos rather than on practice. If you see the three parts to your preparation, I said knowledge, practice and mocks, test. So which is the most important part of your preparation? The most important part of your preparation is practice. CAT is a skill-based exam. It is not a knowledge-based exam. So what does it mean? Knowledge-based exam means that you're given like, okay, these are the 5 objectives of this institution. You mug up the 5 objectives, you reproduce those 5 objectives in the exam. You write down the 5, okay, A, B, C, D, E. This is not like it. This is a skill-based exam. The skill tested is that you have to have comprehension skills. You have to have quantitative skills. Here, your ability to reproduce knowledge counts for nothing. You can know a formula, but you can still not apply it in a given question. So all of this boils down to practicing questions, solving questions yourself. If you solve questions yourself, then you're sharpening your skills. If you just see videos, you're not sharpening your skills. So remember, the most important pillar of your preparation has to be practice. Not videos, not conceptual knowledge, practice. Let's get to the last part that I want you to do is how to utilize the time well. You're preparing for CAT 2026, you have more time than most students. So how do you make sure that you do not waste this time, that you do not waste your advantage over your peers? So first thing is that I want you to build strong fundamentals. Try to front log the CAT syllabus as much as possible. You can go ahead in the schedule. The schedule is given, the day-wise schedule is given, but you can front log the schedule as much as you want. I would say that try to complete the CAT syllabus as early as possible. Then work on practicing. Build a few core skills. For me, in Quant, arithmetic is a core skill. For me in LRDI, arrangements, puzzles, tables, charts are a core skill. For me in VARC, RC is a core skill. So you have to identify in each of the 3 sections which is your preferred area, preferred topic, where are you strongest in. You should have that strong points. From there, your entire preparation will start. Because if you have no source of strength, then your entire preparation is shaky. So in each of these 3 sections, I want you to build areas of strength. Third, learn, apply, improve. Basically, that means that when you see a video, make sure you take the concept test and you practice like crazy from the study room. Increase the difficulty of the questions that you answer gradually. When you start your preparations, try to solve easy questions. If you directly jump in with harder questions, it will be difficult to do that. Over time, I want you to tackle harder questions, practice moderate difficulty to difficult questions. The whole point of the study room is that it has adaptive difficulty level. It starts off with easy questions, but as you solve, the more questions that you get correct, the more the difficulty of the next question increases. So because of that adaptive difficulty level, you will keep getting harder and harder tests as you solve the test. the next point is practice, practice, practice. I cannot overstate how important this is. A lot of students ignore solving questions. This is the key step. This is the most important thing that you have to get right. Read a lot of articles. A lot of students don't have the daily reading habit. If you have a reading habit, excellent. Make sure that you continue it till the end of CAT 2026. If you do not have a reading habit, you are in luck because you have the time to cultivate a reading habit. If some student comes to me in September and says that, ma'am, the exam is in November, I'm not doing well in VARC, what should I do? Then I can't tell them to cultivate a reading habit because the exam is just 2 months away. It is not enough time to develop a reading habit. But if you start today and you're preparing for CAT 2026, you have enough time to cultivate a reading habit. Read 2 articles every single day. Do active reading. I have explained in other videos what active reading is. But do that every single day consistently. You will develop the reading habit, you will develop your comprehension skills, and VARC will be a huge source of strength for you. The last one is mocks and revisions. Make sure that you take mocks regularly, that you revise your concepts regularly, that you know exactly what you are strong in and what you're weak in, and attack the areas of weakness. So this is basically how I believe one should go about cracking CAT 2026. I wish you the best of luck, and with Cracku at your side, I know that you're going to crack CAT 2026. Best of luck.